The native land has a rich history. Its ancient cities, historical, cultural and architectural monuments scattered across the Kazakh land are the proof. The Kazakh land's long history attracts attention of the world community, and this is the main theme of the Native Land program.
Karmaksha area on the Turan lowland, the world's largest cosmodrome, Bajkonur, the place where the Kobus sounds, mausoleum, Khorkhatata, honored figures who work for the good of the people. The territory of the Karmaksha district of the Kızıldağ region is completely located on the Turan lowland. In the extreme north of the region, there are sandy areas of Zhinishke Kum and Golkuduk Kum that are part of the Aral Karakum. In the center of Alakaya alkaline white Takır and Josalı steppe. In the south, sandy sands of Kızılkum. The Sırdarya River flows through the central part of the district. On the territory of the Karmaksha district, there is a unique strategic object, the Bajkonur cosmodrome. The construction of the largest and the very first space science test range, Bajkonur, began in 1955. When choosing the site of the complex, factors such as distance from populated places, nearness to the equator, the safety of launching missiles, and the convenience of landing parts of launched missiles were taken into account. The takeoff route of Bajkonur stretches from the Aral Sea to the peninsula of Kamchatka. On October 4, 1957, the first rocket was successfully launched from the Bajkonur space station. The rocket brought into orbit the world's first artificial Earth satellite. And on April 12, 1961, for the first time in the history of mankind, Yuri Gagarin made a spaceflight on the Vostok space rocket. Also from the Bajkonur station, the first artificial satellites of the Sun, Moon, Venus and spacecrafts as Vostok, Voskhod, Soyuz, Progress and space stations Salyut, Mir, artificial satellites of the Earth used for meteorological observations and communications were released. On October 2, 1991, the first ethnic Kazakh cosmonaut Tokhtar Aubakirov flew into space on the Soyuz T-13 space rocket. Kazakh cosmonaut Talghat Musabayev made a 3-time space flight on a joint program with the Russian Federation. In 2015, the third cosmonaut of independent Kazakhstan, Aydin Aimbetov, made a space flight from the cosmodrome Bajkonur. In addition to the world-famous Bajkonur in Karmaksha district, there is a monument to Khorkhatata, who is a wise man, thinker and narrator common to all Turkic peoples. A sample of a special style of architectural art is located 18 kilometers away from the village of Josalı. This is called a stela. Here a Kobus is depicted, which is facing the 4 directions of the world. The height of the stela is 12 meters and it is made of Kordai granite. It consists of 92 blocks. In the center there is a pipe. When the wind blows, the Kobus sound is heard. It was made by the acoustic physicist Isatayev Sovet. The inner walls of the monument are decorated with a pattern of the Tüye Taban, camel trail, symbolizing the camel on which Khorkhatata was searching for the meaning of life in different parts of the earth. In 1997, work was carried out on the restoration and repair of the monument, as a result of which a whole architectural ensemble appeared, consisting of an amphitheater, a place for rituals, and sculpture of a ram. And in 2000, near the complex, the Khorkhatata Museum was opened as a branch of the Kızıldağ Regional Museum of Local History. About 2,500 exhibits are kept in the museum's fund, which contain materials about Khorkhatata. There you can find extensive information about the history and culture of the era in which Khorkhatata lived, and the amphitheater of the complex is made in the style of architectural monuments of ancient Rome. This is the place where different games and competitions took place. Places for spectators are closed in the form of rings and steps rise higher and higher. Khorkhatata is known as a historical person who left behind a literary and musical heritage. In science, there are different versions of the era in which he lived. However, most researchers agree that Khorkhatata was born in the early 10th century in an alliance of the Oghuz and Kipchak tribes that inhabited the Sırdarya shores. A well-known scholar of his time, Rashid ad-Din, in historical genealogy Jami'at at-Tawrikh, wrote that Korkut Ata was from the Kayet tribe, and in the work of the historian Abul Ghaza, Genealogy of Turks, it is mentioned that Korkut Ata was from the tribe of Bayat, and that he died at the age of 95. In the history of Kazakh philosophy, Korkut Ata is a wise figure who contributed to strengthening the unity of the people, a great thinker who created the foundations of the Turkic worldview, a philosopher, humanist who played a great role in the world's spiritual culture. Also in the concept of the Kazakh people, Korkut and Kobus have one meaning. Kobus and the music that is performed on it are usually associated with the name of Korkut.
Korkut küylерінің әрқайсысының аңыздарына тоқтала отырып, жалпы Korkut küylерінің негізгі
If we talk about the general meaning of Korkut's musical works, then studying the legends about each of them, one can assure that they are about the struggle of life and death. According to the legend popular among the people, Korkut covers the river with a carpet and, avoiding death, sits down to play on the kobus. And when he stops to rest, he is stung by a snake. The fact that Korkut's music works have a connection with legend and the music itself gives a reason to believe that Korkut really lived and left a huge legacy.
өмір сүргендігін, яғни оның артында қалған мұраның шын мәнінде өмірде болғандығын айтуымызға болады.
In Prisirdaryansk, there is a mausoleum dedicated to Horasan Ata, a celebrated personality in his time. It is an architectural monument built in the 12th and 14th centuries. The length of the mausoleum, built of burnt brick in the form of a rectangle, is 16.35 meters, with 8.20 meters. The height of one of the two domes is 12 meters, the second 14 meters. In the mausoleum of Horasan Ata, works on repair and restoration were carried out in 2006 and 2007. The domes of the mausoleum were covered with tin sheets of light gray color before the restoration work. During the restoration, they were redesigned in the architectural style of southern Kazakhstan and laid out of bricks. And who was Horasan Ata? His real name is Abu Jalil. Lived around the 9th century, was one of the distributors of the Islamic religion and culture in Prisirdaryansk. He is considered the 7th descendant of Hazret Ali. If we talk about why he is called Horasan Ata, then he was called after he captured the city of Horasan with 32 gates, which is on the territory of Iran, with 10,000 soldiers. It turns out that before him, the city of Horasan was not captured by anyone. If to speak about the main historical facts, he was seriously wounded in one of the battles after the capture of the city of Ozgand, which was inhabited by the Oghuz tribes. He was buried here. Another large archaeological complex located on the territory of the Karmakshi district is the settlement of Jete-Asar, which is on the lower reaches of the Sirdarya. Jete-Asar is a settlement of the Kangju tribe, inhabiting this area in the 3rd-1st centuries BC. Houses in the settlement of different sizes, there are medium and large ones. There is a suggestion that the Kangju tribe lived here. During the excavation in recent years, on the walls of houses built in the ancient time, decorations with ornaments were found. Kangju tribes also inhabited Karatau and the middle course of the Sirdarya. According to ancient Chinese characters, their tribal alliance consisted of 5 small possessions. In the settlements there were about 120,000 yurts, or 600,000 people. This historic area also boasts with people who have mastered several languages of the world and various arts. If you have a bird of happiness, respect the guests who came. Teach everything you know. Take care of those who are younger than you. Even if you know a lot, do not get down to work without consulting. It was written by the poet and translator Turmagambet Istleov, who is a native of this region. He lived in the years 1882-1939. speaks very well Arabic, Persian, and Chagatai languages. He studied at a madrasa. In 1936-1937, he worked as a research officer in the Commissariat of Public Education. Today in Karmaksha district, there is a village named after the poet. Taimbet Komekbaev, hero of the Soviet Union, was also born in the native region of a talented and eloquent poet. He became one of the defenders of the motherland in October 1941 and led an intelligence troop until the end of the war. On January 6, 1945, Taimbet Komekbaev crossed the river Oder. Among the first and held a bridgehead, located on the west bank of the river near the settlement Enhirind. In the same year, on the 8th of February, in the battle for the city of Vansan, he beat off an enemy attack 7 times. For the bravery and valor shown in the battle, Taimbet Komekbaev was awarded the title of Hero of the Soviet Union by the decree of the Presidium of the Supreme Soviet of the USSR. After returning from the war, Taimbet Komekbaev worked in the field of agriculture. Grow where you planted. This is the motto of businessman Nurlan Izdibayev, a native of Karmaksha district. Nurlan Izdibayev was born in the village of Aktabe, Karmaksha district, the middle child of a large family of 11 children. He began his labor activity early as an ordinary combined harvester. For self-sacrificing labor during the harvest, he was awarded the title Champion of the District several times. After, he gained the degree in jurisprudence and worked in the judicial system. However, Nurlan Izdibayev refused from the successfully start of his career and, having returned to his native village, started rice farming. The entrepreneur annually receives from each hectare of land tens of centners of a crop and develops his business every day. I hope if we launch a rice processing plant, then 15 residents of this village will be provided with permanent work. In the future, we're thinking of continuing to work on implementing our plans and initiatives into reality by building more powerful plants. The remarkable events of well-known personalities are directly connected with their native land. Therefore, most of outstanding figures have a deep respect to the villages where they were born and grew up, and do everything possible for the prosperity of every corner of their native land. Nurlan Izdibayev also allocated funds for the construction of a park for the sake of the future generation, where people can walk and spend leisure time. In addition, the entrepreneur, having gained knowledge, experience, and reserve upon his return to his native village of Aktabe, built a large gate at the entrance to the village. According to the Kazakh belief, everything good starts from the threshold. My first thought was not to be famous, but the intention that everyone should know about the existence of the Aktabe village in the Kozlorda region, Karmaksha district, so that we deserve being called as a resident of Aktabe. With such thoughts and intentions, we started from the threshold, from the gate. Now the inscription Aktabe village on the gates burns at night. Beautiful owl of Aktabe. Today, distance between our village and the transport corridor Western China, Western Europe is 1 kilometer. Now all the drivers know that if you go from Kozlorda at such a kilometer on the left side, there will be an owl of Aktabe. Nurlan Izdibayev, awarded with the Order of Kurmet, does not want to leave his native village, no matter what benefits he would get in other regions, because he believes the saying, "The smoke of the fatherland is warmer than someone else's fire," is correct. As I am engaged in business, money is enough to go abroad and move to another place. If you have money, you can live anywhere you want. I was invited to Almaty and Astana, but when I go on a business trip, maximum after 7 or 10 days, I want to come back to my native village. The greatest feats are dictated by love for the motherland. The activities of such citizens as Nurlan Izdibayev, who doesn't know to be relaxed for the sake of the future of the people and the land, are manifestation of love for their native land. A Karmaksha district, rich in priceless historical monuments, is part of the rich spiritual history of Kazakh